go and meet borrowers and do that, meet them, do those, provide the service at their doorstep. But as we grew, we never moved away from that principle. Today, Grameen Bank in Bangladesh has over 8 million borrowers. 97% of them are women. They are spread out in every single village of Bangladesh. So the Grameen Bank goes out to every single village of Bangladesh to meet all these 8 million borrowers within 1 week, because all our activities are done in a weekly cycle. Loans are paid back in timely installments, weekly installments. So we go out and collect the money from their doorstep. So we have a big workforce with over 27,000 staff, meeting out all those 8 million borrowers, doing the business at their doorstep. So that's how the whole system works. Because of proximity between the borrowers and the lenders, we know each other very well. We are part of the family. So it's a big family for us. We lend out over $100 million a month in loans averaging under $200. And all those money again has to be collected back. Over a year we lend out more than $1 billion. All this money come from the deposits. Grameen Bank is not a bank which takes money from some international agencies or government or any funding agencies, anything. It's entirely self-financed within the system. Just like any other bank would take deposits and lend out the money to the poor people around the branch. We have over 2,600 branches all over the country. Each branch is supposed to run it with its own money. They are not to borrow from each other. So you mobilize the money from around the bank, around your branch, and lend the money to the borrowers and become self-sustaining. And they do that. And the bank makes profit. Profit goes back to the borrowers because they are the shareholders. So it's a kind of complete circle that way. And since they are the owners, they elect their representative to sit in the board. So the highest policy-making body of the bank is made up by the women from the villages, because they are the representatives coming from villages to sit in the board. So it's a very fascinating board that way. Illiterate women making decisions about the board, about the big bank in the country. And not only we lend money to the women, and he said we learn from the conventional banks and do the opposite. Another probably something comes in that direction. Conventional banks don't concern themselves about the children of their clients. But in Grameen Bank we do. We're very concerned about the children of the borrowers of Grameen Bank. Right from the beginning, we wanted to make sure the children of Grameen families go to school. Because the borrowers, the women, they themselves are illiterate women, cannot read, cannot write. So what their husbands cannot read, cannot write. Literacy never entered into those families. So we wanted to make sure we make a break in those families, in that traditional cycle of poverty. So we thought this is a good opportunity to encourage the mothers, the borrowers, to send their children to school. And we succeeded in that, having all the children in school. And we thought maybe we'll be very lucky to have these children to complete their primary education. then at least we'll have the satisfaction that we have the children go through private education. But the reality was more interesting than that. They didn't stop at the primary education. They completed primary education and continued in the high school. And many of them not only completed high school, they wanted to come to the college. Then one problem came because the college becomes expensive. You can send your children to high school because it's much cheaper. It doesn't cost much. But coming to the college level becomes expensive. So immediately Grameen Bank introduced the education law to help them to pursue their higher education. And since then we have been doing that. We've sent children to higher education. Many of them have graduated. Many have finished their PhDs. Right now there are over 50,000 students in medical schools, engineering schools, universities, all over the country. Many are studying in other countries, financed from Grameen Bank education loans. So you have a very strange kind of situation where mothers and the parents are illiterate, but children are very highly educated, very professional people. So his second generation is coming up as a very different kind of generation than their parents' generation. We have an ongoing controversy about microfinance, whether this is good for all poor people. Because one argument is made frequently, is brought up, that microcredit is good only for entrepreneurial poor, meaning that it is not relevant for many poor people who are not entrepreneurial. And I never could accept that argument, because we started out with the poorest people, and we never distinguished who is entrepreneurial, who is not entrepreneurial. We went to women to persuade her to join Grameen Bank and start their own income-generating activities. In the beginning, women always pleaded with us, no, don't give it to me. I don't know what to do with money. I never handled money in my life. Give it to my husband. We said, no, we don't want to give it to your husband, we want to give it to you. He said, no, we don't know anything. That's not an entrepreneurial behavior. But we never gave up. When my students were working with me trying to persuade women to join Grameen Bank, girl students who would go to the women to try to explain to them, at one point started getting very frustrated, said, oh, maybe it will never work. Why are you trying to pressure them to take money if they don't know anything? Why should we go and pressure them? Then my answer to them was, I said, when you hear a woman saying, I never touched money, I'm afraid of money, I don't want to handle money, always remember that this is not her voice. This is the voice of history which created her. She is the product of fears that we have generated, generation after generation, in her. So today you go and tell her to take money and start a business. Suddenly she forgets all about all those fears that came out in centuries. And she said, give me the money, let me start. No. You have to be very patient. Patiently we have to go there and peel off these fears, layers and layers of fears that she has. So that someday one of them will say, maybe I should try, because my life is so bad, it can't get any worse.